Welcome to the TheDPost for All Season Sports Show. I'm Drew Rubenstein, joined again by Dave Racy. And Dave, a topic we haven't gotten to discuss yet is WVU's athletic facilities plan here. WVU announced that they were going to spend $106 million over the next several years on facility upgrades, and Oliver Luck spoke to the media last week to lay out the plans in more detail. And the point that he kept focusing on was this is more for the fans than the players or the coaches or anybody else, so this is for the fans' enjoyment. And I guess one of the first things that came to mind was when Oliver first came to WVU, he was mentioning how he wanted to see a party deck at Mountaineer Field and suites in the Coliseum and some bigger scale things, whereas when the details to this major renovation plan came out, it was more simple things like widening the concourses and adding more restrooms. So I guess first of all for you, why do you think there was the change in approach there, and was this the right direction to take with the money?
Well, there's several things. I think they do need upgrades in the existing facilities. And I say, rather than building new stadiums, I think obviously everybody would enjoy having, seat backs and stuff with their chairs in the Mountaineer Field. And I think that the Coliseum really, I think in reality is you're probably not going to get too many crowds, more of 13 and 14,000. And I think they could do something with some renovations, maybe go on the ground floor or go where the student section or something to put some nice things in, but make the other seats a little wider, a little more padded, things like that, maybe a little less, maybe get down to 10,000 or something that, wouldn't feel like you're never full or anything else. And when you're not winning, you have to do something. They always say that P.K. Wrigley, when they built Wrigley Field in Chicago and stuff, he says you can't always have a good baseball team, but you can at least have a nice place to come and enjoy a day and stuff. And so they made Wrigley Field very, fan appealing way back then. And now all the baseball stadiums are kid friendly. They got all kinds of events. So even if the team stinks, the Pirates started, their attendance got up before they started winning just on that stadium. So I think it's not a bad plan. They could do a lot of things to make both Mountaineer Field and the Coliseum much more fan-friendly, and just in services, more restrooms. They need. I've worked the concession stand at the Coliseum, and they're way too small. People just bump into each other, and they get slammed in there. Those people come in at 7 o'clock game, they haven't had dinner, and they want food, and they want it now, and it's hard to fix all that thing. So they need some renovations there, and I think the seats really need an upgrade in the Coliseum. I think they were 30 some years old or 40 years old or over that now. They need some nicer seats.
And that is one of the things he mentioned. We'll see about the suites. Oliver wasn't really confirming that. It was more the concourses, and like you said, he mentioned the seats are literally 44 years old and they're running out of supplies to take care of them. But I guess as we rewind, because there was always kind of rumors just in the background, folks wondering if WVU was going to move into a new football stadium or a new basketball arena. Obviously, these plans seem to, shoot down any of those rumors that would bubble up here and there that, these are going to be WVU's home for the foreseeable future. And when Mountaineer Field was built, was that always the impression that you got at the time, that they really saw this as a facility that was going to be their home for 40, 50, 60 years? Really a long-term fix. And what was kind of, let's just go back a little bit, the reaction in the community when Mountaineer Field was being built?
Well, I always thought that, that people wanted a new football stadium. Not everybody. The site was the big thing. They talked about out in the mile ground. They talked about building it where the old Mountaineer Field was down in campus, and that place by the hospital sort of became a compromise. It was out away from campus where maybe you get easier to get to, but it wasn't way out where the students could still sort of walk there and things like that. And obviously the hospital's it's not ideal with the hospital being there. We've had a few incidences where people have had trouble getting in and things like that. But ideally it probably would be a better place, but I think you just can't make an investment like that and then just tear the thing down. I know big cities do it and stuff, but I just don't think it makes much sense to move that. I don't know, it might even be, easier for the hospital to move and maybe get bigger or something. I'm not too sure to go out there because they seem to be moving out in that direction a little bit anyhow. But that was the big thing, was the location more than anything else.
That's interesting. Venue-wise, we've both traveled, been to other basketball arenas, football stadiums. They're certainly not the best in the Big 12, and I know a lot of people like to assume that they're way at the bottom of the barrel, and I'm not so sure that that's necessarily the case either. But just from your experiences, I mean, WVU is never going to have, you know, the probably a stadium that is the most prestigious in the world. Mountaineer Field's not that at all, but still, with what they're doing, how can WVU be competitive? I mean, can they still be competitive by just doing minor projects on these two places? And just when you get into that whole arms race, where does WVU stack up, and how does what they're doing going to position them in the Big 12?
Well, I think, you know, our facilities, I don't think they may not be as good as, say, Texas's, but I think we're better in some areas. I think our practice facility for football is better. And they say that no one's got a better basketball facility for practice in WVU. So I think we're doing pretty good on that. I mean, it seems as money is not the big object when it comes there. And I mean, so I can't argue that. I think the players, you know, they have a nice weight room. I think they're getting an addition to the weight room. They're getting a film room. Or, I mean, I don't understand. I don't think they've cheated on the players at all. And I don't think there's any you could use any excuses for facilities now, to be truthful. I would say there are, you know, I haven't been to all of them, but at least, you know, we're not in Lubbock, Texas anyhow, so that's an improvement. I mean, there's probably one place where Morgantown can say, hey, we're not Lubbock, Texas, you know. So, you know, I don't think there's any excuse about the facilities. But I do think that, you know, they want to keep the fans. That's a good idea to improve things and make it more enjoyable, especially with charge for parking and things like that.
No, I would agree with you. And Dave, appreciate your time once again. Please continue to check TheDPost.com. Thanks for watching once again.